Okay, I may be streaming right now. Let me see if this is actually up. No. Let's refresh. Okay. Alright, I think we're up. Oh. Let me not echo. Alright, I'm going to do a quick audio check. How's everybody doing? This is kind of like an unofficial stream. I was hoping our new modem was going to be here today so we have a little bit faster connection so you don't get as many dropped connections, but FedEx was real late today. And I wanted to stream, and I figured I got some work to do for the video this week. So let's do a little bit of working session. Sounds too professional. Hold, please. Ooh. All right. I think I've got an echo. We'll see if that fixes it. I'll hang out for a bit. Alright, I also apologize. It is bedtime in my house. So I don't know. Yeah, you can hear that. Hang on. Okay. So, yeah, so what I was saying is it's bedtime. My daughter is, oh no, she had a poop. That's a third in a row that I haven't changed. I'm in big trouble right now. I have a very amazing wife. But that being said, yeah, I'm slowly the pieces are coming together to have a legit, like, good live stream. I've got a lav on for audio. We've got our LUT in and everything. Everything seems to be coming together slowly but surely. If you've kind of come in and seen some of the test streams I've been doing the last couple of days, thank you for your patience. Some of them have been painful. And so, again, I apologize. It's bedtime. My daughter apparently had a poopy diaper and is having a fit about it. So, but anyways, I wanted to use this time. I got some work to do for Tuesday's video, and I wanted to use this to kind of talk about what my process is in color grading. Now, I'm not going to color grade all of my shots because I haven't done a lot of the product B-roll yet. Let me check the audio, make sure everything sounds okay. My wife just texted me third poop, so I'm definitely in trouble. Okay, so with that being said, yeah, so what I'm going to do is go through some color grading. When I finally get the connection for, our new modem, I am going to be doing a little bit of like a live stream about my live stream gear, because I really think that the stuff that I've gotten to live stream is actually really budget friendly, and with my channel being budget conscious, I think it's a great option as far as the things I'm using. You could probably start, if you already have a camera, probably start streaming for under 30 bucks, maybe 50 bucks. I may put it at like the $50 price range. So that's all that to say. That's when everything is going to be coming, or when the modem comes in, we're going to be doing that. So today we're going to do a little bit of color grading. My process, I'm going to put the disclaimer out there if you are watching this after the fact. But my process is a little bit more quick and easy. And so I apologize, I'm moving stuff around the desk. But a little bit more quick and easy. It's not like I'm not going in here and doing like I am using DaVinci Resolve. So if you're interested in color grading with DaVinci Resolve, that's a little bit what today is going to be about. At least my process. It's very simple, very straightforward. I've seen a lot of really good colorists go in and you'll have like 10, 20 different nodes and all do different things. And I think if I really wanted to and really had the time, I would do that. But for most of my YouTube content, I have like a day to color grade or like maybe an hour to color grade. And so that is the thing. Why are we looking at my desktop right now? I just realized you guys are seeing my desktop. I'm still learning OBS. I apologize. All right, so let me go over to the color grade. All right, so this is actually one that I was grading earlier. I was doing a test and basically did like a quick tutorial on how to color grade OBS footage. And so I might, if we have time, I might do that a little bit later. I'm trying to wrap up around the 30-minute marker. So also let me know as I do some of this stuff, if you have questions, put them in the live chat. We'll go through that and do that up. So let me get over to this week's project. So if you are curious about what we're talking about this week, what's up, Will? How are you doing, buddy? If you're curious what we're talking about this week, or what I'm talking about this week we are talking about this pretty amazing light from Godox, the Godox SL 150W Mark II. What inspires me to color grade? Honestly, movies. Movies inspire me to color grade. Movies and honestly other creators. I get a lot of inspiration on like different grades or different color schemes from other artists. So, with that being said, thanks for hanging out. If you're just now joining, what we're going to do is we're going to go through my process. Again, this is a quick and easy process of how I grade. This is going to be specifically Blackmagic footage. If we do the kind of like short tutorial on the OBS footage, that's actually with the GH5. And so between the GH5 and Blackmagic, that's what we're doing there. So let's go into this clip. Oh, that's a flattering clip. Let me see if I can get a different. Sure, why not? All right, so this clip, very, very flat. This is the film profile with the Blackmagic. So it's a very flat image, very similar to something like if you were to use log, S-log, C-log. What does Panasonic use? I don't remember. I don't have it. But any log profile. I'm blanking because I'm in the moment. And if you're curious, I'm kind of monitoring myself on YouTube. The screen share, the part where you see me, or rather the image share, the part where you see me is blocking the picture gallery. So right now we don't need that. So I was like, okay, what part of DaVinci Resolve can I cover up so you can see me while we talk about this? And so calculate it there. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is the way that I structure, I'm going to get into meat of everything here. And I'm going to delete this link here. I set up about 5 nodes. What I'll do is I'll do a couple of just simple, corrector nodes, and then I'll kind of layer 2 up here. So I'll add a corrector, then add another corrector, and then a layer mixer. I actually learned this from another YouTuber, and I'll try to put the link to that video somewhere on the screen, just kind of cite who I kind of learned this process, at least this node structure. A lot of this I've already done. It was just, I like the way he did the node structure. And so I'm going to do a layer mixer, and I'm going to connect everything so I can get that started. So I'm going to connect this node here is going to be for my skin tones. This node up here is going to be for my color grade. Well, technically this node is to copy the skin tones from the prior node. So I'll kind of break that down here in just a little bit. So first node, I'm going to do a lot of my color correction as well as exposure. And so if I go over to the curves, I'm going to do that exposure that way. Over on the bottom right corner, I have all of my parade and scopes and everything. So I'm going to go to parade and base my exposure off of that. And some of this is things I picked up while I was editing in Final Cut Pro. And so for me, this just kind of felt a little bit more natural, a little bit more like comfortable. There's a lot of good videos out there about color grading in DaVinci Resolve. Some of them just completely just were overwhelming. And so when you're switching from one editor to another, I found it's really helpful to kind of figure out, okay, if I got pretty good at that other editor, what can I do in this editor to kind of translate those skills? And so for me, dealing with my exposure in Parade is just kind of something I've grown accustomed to. And so I'm going to go through that. So I'm going to bring down my shadows and the curves here a little bit. And I want those shadows to, just like you would, to hit right down the around the 0. Sometimes I'll crush the reds, but that's still maybe a little bit too much. So we'll see. Let me get it right. Just my computer is like, why are you running OBS and DaVinci Resolve at the same time? We may come back to that. Okay, so I'm going to take my highlights. I try to get this bulb to where it's not just blown out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my highlights down just a tad. And they still it may still be blown out. That's the bulb right there. What I also try to do is keep my general picture and everything that's the kind of the main subject. I don't put it at the top bar there. I always put it kind of like 3/4 of the way. And so that's just a personal preference. I had feedback on my last short film about how my shots sometimes seem dark. That is a fault of mine. I tend to try to have a darker shot, and that's just a preference. And so let me bring that up just a little bit. I think that's good. I think that's where I want it. So what I'm going to do is create some contrast. I'm going to take my midtones down just a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit there. Now, a part of this is exposure and color correction. I've noticed, and I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong, like a user error, but I've noticed that my footage usually comes out a little bit more red in the midtones and shadows, and so I have to do some color correction. I'm not sure if it's just, again, user error or something going on with my black magic, but I find that the shadows and the midtones come out with a little more red than I want them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go over to my RGB mixer, and I'm going to, you want to play around with this to see how much saturation you want to put in your shot. Like the GH5, I will almost not at all bump these colors up. I will do this more with the black magic because it is more of a flat picture. Some people go all the way up. I don't like it that saturated. I'll bring it just slightly down a little bit. And so I'm going to bring the reds, greens, and blues up to about 1.9. It's a random number, but it's what I have been working with and have grown to really like. So 1.9 is like the magic number for the different channels there. Okay, so once I have that, then what I'm going to do in this same correction node, and you can even see it here. Now I am using a new light in this video, so it may be a little bit different than what I'm normally used to. So what I'll do, and I notice the midtones have a little bit red in there, so I'm going to go over to my my color wheel, not my color wheels. The color wheels? It's not the color wheels. No, it's the primary bars. I was like looking at the name. I never know what the name is on these. I just like, that's where I click to get there. I'll be honest, I've used DaVinci Resolve since I've had the Blackmagic, so probably like 2 months. I have like just cracked the surface on DaVinci Resolve. It's an amazing program, but it's so much. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the midtones first. I'm going to take, or the gamma, I'm going to take the red, bring that out just a little bit. And some of this is just to taste, as far as like, I'll kind of get it to where it looks like it should be. I am going to go ahead and just take some out of the shadows, just because I know I normally have issues with that. I may try the highlights. Nope, that's too green. Does anybody else, when they're taking colors out and correcting colors, look at the bars and not at the picture at that time? It's me. It's me. So, yeah, that seemed fine. Now I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. I'm dealing with a black wall back here, a daylight balance light back here, a tungsten balance light, which I'll add. Like, I'm always impressed how much light this actually puts out, because it is serving as a hair light as well. So really awesome. So I have the Edison bulb back here, and then over here I have this huge umbrella light right now. And so I'll probably stop there as far as corrections. We'll see. And if you have feedback, if you have things like, obviously I'm not a pro at this necessarily. And so if there are things you're like, that drives me nuts and that's crazy, please let me know. So now what I'm going to do, this is basically my correction node here. So the next node is my skin tone node. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to qualify the skin tone. So I'm going to go to my qualifier, and I'm going to make sure I've got the picker on, because sometimes I'll have the feathering on and not realize it. Excuse me. So I'm going to qualify the skin tone. I'm going to isolate it, and I'm going to feather it out a little bit. Now this is going to be a little bit different for me because, again, new light. I may try to grab a different shot to see if I'm, because that is not a good qualifier. I may have to manually do that a little bit. Yeah, that's not a really good shot. Let me see if I can find a different shot. That should be, I think that's fine for now. Okay, we'll try that and see what that comes out to be. I won't lie, probably the first round is always one that I'll go back on like Monday night and be like, that's terrible. I am way too green. So what I'm going to do now that I've done a little bit of qualification, or at least as much as I feel comfortable with on this shot, I'll go over to the window here, grab a circular window, just to isolate the skin tone. Because you can see if I get rid of that, I'm actually kind of, the reason I'm using the window, or reason why a lot of people will use the window when they do this, is because what you're going to do is, ultimately I'm going to come over to my scopes. I'm going to go to a vector scope, and my vector scope has a skin tone line. Well, if I have stuff like back here, it may pick that up in the overall, like, where the colors lie. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a window. Now, if you are using something like Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, I don't know if I have never used Premiere Pro. I don't know if they have a window option, but Final Cut Pro, use a mask. That will also get you there. So I'll use the circular window here, and you can see, so my skin tone, that's the skin tone line. And as a side note, if you're new to DaVinci Resolve and you don't see the skin tone what you're gonna do is, I had to remind myself, go over to this little icon over here, right next to the scope drop down, and you're gonna go, there's a checkbox. A second checkbox down here, show skin tone indicator. Basically, in a nutshell, your skin tone should be on this line or kind of touching. I try to get it to where it's touching the top part of the line. Just from personal preference, I've noticed when I get it like centered on the line, it's way too yellow or way too green-esque. So I get it to where it's just touching the top of the line. That way I still have a little bit of orange in the skin tone there. What I'm going to do, and again, this is more of the quick and easy way. I am going to go to the color wheels, go to log, and I'm just going to use the offset option. I'm going to push a little bit of yellow at first into the skin tones. And you can see that that's adjusting over here. Let me actually open this up so you can see a little bit better. So and honestly, I didn't even need to do much. Let me try that again. Let me go back. So a little bit, again, that is a little bit above the skin tone line. So I want it touching just the top of the skin tone line. So I'm going to push a little bit yellows in. I'll try to push the yellows before I start. I will sometimes go into the greens. I think for my first couple of videos when I did everything, I would go a little bit more into the greens than I wanted to. So let me just push a little bit of yellows in the skin tone. There's a little more orange than I wanted. And I may try to back it off a little bit. I don't know why. Also, when I'm color grading, this is actually pretty far away from the screen from what I normally am. And so, let me try just a little bit more yellow. Okay. And then depending on so this is one thing I'll try to do. One thing I'll try to do is take a minute, turn off the highlight, turn off the window, and check. That seems real yellow, or like a little bit like death in the skin there. So what I'll do then is I'll bring everything back on, and I'll just push some reds into the skin tone just to kind of make it less corpsey. That's a word, right? But what I'm gonna keep my vector scope on because I want to make sure I'm not pushing so much red to where it's coming off of the skin tone line. Now, if you're putting red back into the skin tone, something that a lot of people will say is like, a little goes a long way, and that's very true. I think there's a lot of times where a lot of people will put more red than should be in skin tones. And so the whole point of fixing skin tones a lot of times, especially if you've done your due diligence and adjusted your white balance and everything, is to possibly fix the reds or make it less red than what it would be by default. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. I'll take that out, see what that looks like. Something else I'll try to do is I'll sometimes take the saturation out, but I think for this it's fine. I've noticed that sometimes when I'm like too orange in some places, I'll just try to take the saturation down. But I think here, I'm going to leave that there for now. I may come back to it. It's a little much for right now, but I'll come back to it. Sometimes I can fix it in the color grading aspect, just because it's throwing me off because everything still seems kind of washed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the skin tone. I'm actually going to go to my third node and try to do some color grading. Now, before I even do that, the way that I've set up this node down here is to where basically you're layering these two nodes. This node at the top is going to be your grade. This node at the bottom is going to keep your skin tones. That way, if I do any grading, it's not going to bleed into my skin tones. And so it's trying to protect those skin tones. Yes, I want to save. I love DaVinci Resolve, and when it starts yelling at you, when the edit is in yellow, it's like, hey, you've gone long enough without correcting or without saving. So, All right, let me go to node 3. And for grading, again, this is simple approach. I will use the log wheels. And I also tend to grade, I try to grade as subtle as possible. Excuse me. I've seen a lot of people that will use the curves to grade, but I find that you get just like almost way too much grade on it. So I find it a little bit easier. And again, it goes back to my Final Cut Pro days, where it just was easier for me. So for this, for my studio, my studio is set up to do teal and orange. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do a quick teal and orange, and I'm going to just do ever so slightly, just a little bit, because again, I don't like in your face grades necessarily. I think, well, at least for the stuff that I'm putting out, I think there's a lot of content that it fits. Not my stuff. Just not the stuff that I'm making. The other thing that I'll do is I will try to darken the picture a little bit in the grading process. So let me take some curves. I'm just going to bring the shadows down. And maybe even the midtones down just a little bit. This is something I'm not used to because again, this is a new light. I'm used to maybe more of a concentrated light, to where I'm not, if you've watched any of my videos, shameless plug, subscribe. If you've watched any of my videos, I tend to like my background to be like just dark. And it's not great for like, sometimes I find myself blending in a lot with it. So that being said, with a new light, this is not as controlled as having something like a light dome with a honeycomb and everything like that on it. That I'm using an umbrella just to save space. So it's a huge space saver to use an umbrella, at least in my opinion. And so I'm using one now, but it's less, I'm blanking on words. It's less controlled. So again, a little bit of teal and orange now, very subtle. So if I disable this, you can see very subtle teal and orange, but I'm still not happy with this picture. And this may be me going back after the stream where I can really focus on it for a, something I'm not super used to with this new light. And so I may even go back to like the primary correction node, and I'm still seeing my skin is a little orange. And so I'm not liking the skin tones. Let me just bring, you know what? Let me try just to bring the overall exposure down just slightly. That's getting more where I want it. You know what? I think my highlights are also more than I'm normally doing. Because I didn't bring down hardly any highlights, and I normally bring down the highlights. Okay. I'm sorry. This is Anson concentrating because I want to make sure I'm also doing work while I'm doing this. Okay. So we've got, then I'm still not necessarily happy with that. And it may just be that shot too, because I have a lot of my face hidden in the shadows over here. My external drive is like, what are you doing? And so it's not bad. I may actually just be a little bit overexposed. More than I'm used to. Again, I'm not used to like my whole scene being lit up like way more. So it's something like I'm battling, what I'm used to and what I'm not. Let's try to work with the skin tones a little bit more as well. Let me disable the grade. Isolate the skin tones. Put in my window there. Okay. What? Okay, there are my scopes. I was like, where did that go? Okay, so if everything's, maybe I need to put some more. Let me take the red out. Let me try to maybe put some more green in it. Just to get it more on the skin tone line. And again, if you have feedback, if you're like, Anson, what the hell are you doing? You're putting green in your skin tones. Please tell me. Alright. Let me... That's worse. Hang on, let me full screen this. Yeah, it's still too orange for me. Maybe I do need to take some of the saturation. No, saturation is not going to help. See, the first part of this was all like presentation. This is when Anson's like problem solving. Okay, so let's, you know what, let me try to change the exposure on skin tones as well. I just feel like everything is just bright. So maybe next time I go shoot, I need to like, right now this light's at 35%. Excuse me. Right now it's at 35%. I shot it, I think, at 100% in this video. This is probably more something I actually like. And so, I don't know what that was about. Much apologies. Okay. I gotta start wrapping up. Something I gotta do at 8:30. And so, I may come back to this. Let me... Oof. Oof. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Let me try to take... Nope, that's not... Go back. Back over here. Get out of here. Boom. Alright, let's reset this entire... So let me bring this... What, did my live stream stop? Okay, I think my connection dropped. If you can hear me, my connection's poor. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a night for tonight. If you guys like this video, if you guys like just kind of like a working session where basically I do some color grading, by all means, let me know. Hit me up in the comments below. I think it's fun. I like kind of showing my process, and I probably will have a better chance of telling you about my process when I can troubleshoot this image. All right, you guys have a good night. I'm going to sign off. Like, subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Peace. Why? Am I still here? Okay. Yep, I'm still here. All right. I thought I was done. Okay. So now I'm done. I'm learning this live stream thing. Oof. Okay. We'll come back to it. All right. You guys have a good night. Let me know some feedback. Give me some tips below. You're still here. LOL. Mark, you are a lifesaver. Mark, I hope you watch this entire live stream and tell me in our group chat what the hell I did. I just think it's overexposed. It's not overexposed. It's overexposed more than I want it to be. Because I like dark and moody shots like this. Nothing is worse than like not trial and erroring new gear before you do a YouTube video. Or before you actually use it for a actual paid client gig. I should have done that with this light to know that I probably should work at like a lower percentage of power. Fun. Okay. So I'm going to come back to this. I'm just going to save that. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Just to give you context, Mark, I mentioned that this is a very quick and easy process. Probably not the most official way of editing. So, awesome. I will have to get your feedback on what that means exactly. I'll hit you up in the text. I gotta head out. I will come back to this and let you guys. I'll give you guys an update. Maybe next time I do a live stream, which I'm having a lot of fun doing these. So yeah, we'll come back to it. You guys have a good Saturday night, and we'll talk soon. I don't know why I keep on pointing at the screen. Perf. All right. I don't know. I am never saying perf again. My bad. All right. I'm done. Bye.